Good morning, everyone. This is a little bit different for my channel. I'm going to be doing a little bit of baking this morning, and I thought I would share my recipe with you. I'm going to be making some chocolate chip bars. I found this recipe on Facebook about a year ago, and we have really enjoyed it, and I have modified it a little bit. This is Memorial Day weekend here in Iowa. This is 2024, Memorial Day, and I thought I'd go ahead and bake up a pan of these and have them ready, because people kind of come and go, and it's a fun weekend to have a few family members and friends come and visit you and have some snacks on hand. So we're going to do that today, and I want to let you know that my kitchen is in the middle of a remodel, and so you're going to see those 2x4s in the background here. But I promise you it's clean, and my cooking is safe. So let me see if I can get the camera to focus on this. Come on, baby. All right, my recipe's a little bit ragged, but there it is, and I will go through all the measurements and ingredients as we go along too, and I will put the recipe in the description box down below. It doesn't say to, but I do add nuts, usually pecans, and I also split the chocolate chips. I put, it calls for 1 cup chocolate chips, but I put a 1/2 cup chocolate chips and a 1/2 cup butterscotch chips. So let me gather up my ingredients here, and we will mix these up, get them in the oven. I'm going to start the oven now to preheat, and I'm going to be heading for 350 degrees. Okay, our first steps in making these bars, and I'm going to kind of go through this as though you're a newlywed and are just beginning to cook. So you're going to take a 1/2 cup of butter, and that's 1 full stick. And you need real butter. Margarine works, but not, your cookie bars won't be, I don't know, as moist. And so a 1/2 cup of butter, and we're going to melt that. So I've done that over here in my microwave. So I've got a 1/2 cup of butter melted. So we'll put that in our mixer bowl. Get all the goodie out of there that we can. And then we need 1 cup of brown sugar. So brown sugar is, it's kind of a given that it's always going to be packed unless the recipe says to not pack it. So this is 1 cup of packed brown sugar. There we go. And then we need an egg, 1 egg. So we'll have that, and we'll just give this just a little mix to kind of incorporate everything. I'm not going to mix it on high or anything, just a blending speed. And we'll get that all blended till it looks nice and creamy. And I'm going to go now and get the dry ingredients all ready to go. Okay, I've got my egg and brown sugar and butter well mixed in here. And I've also added 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So now I'm ready to put in my dry ingredients, which I have here, and that is 1 cup of flour, 1/2 teaspoon baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon of soda, and 1 cup, I've got my 1 cup here of my chocolate chips and butterscotch chips all mixed together, and I've got a cup of walnuts this time. And so when, if you're new to cooking and baking, Some recipes call only for soda, baking soda. Some call for only baking powder, especially in a cookie recipe. If you use soda, cookies will be crispy, very crispy. And if you use baking powder, they'll be soft cookies. And this calls for a little bit of each since it's bars. So we don't want them terribly, terribly crispy, but we do want them to hold together when we pick them up out of the pan to serve one to somebody. So a little information there on the two different kinds of baking powder and baking soda. All right, let's put this in and get it going. I'm just putting it in just a little at a time. You can see I'm spilling about a tenth of it. I don't know. Too much of it. There we go. I didn't spill too much. Alright, got it. So that's going to mix pretty good. When it gets mixed pretty good, I'm going to add my chips and my nuts. I did chop these nuts just a little bit, and so that's all it needs. That's all it's going to need. So now I'm going to turn this out onto this little baking sheet, and this is probably, I don't know, 10 by 13, something like that. It's not a huge cookie sheet or baking sheet. It's kind of the smaller size. But this recipe fits just perfect in this pan. I'll measure it and put that in the description box for you. So I'm going to go ahead and put this out, and you do have to kind of spread this. So I'll show you. Okay, I've sprayed my pan with some pan spray with flour for baking. I'll get our bars out here onto the pan. And you can see how the dough looks, and that we got to spread it. And it does kind of spread a little bit on its own when it's in the oven, so if you're worried that it's not going to be just quite right or whatever, don't be, because when you take it out of the oven it's going to look just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all spread in this pan. See how it just doesn't quite want to reach all the way. You just keep working with it. Just keep working with it until it gets to all the corners and all the edges. And even if you don't, like if there's a little spot someplace where you can still see the cookie sheet, don't worry about it, because it's going to fill in when it bakes. Alright, that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to put this in the oven now. And we are going to bake this at 350 for 25 minutes. Okay, here we go. We got them out of the oven. They're all nice and done. And see how it filled the pan all up? And if you want your crust on top to be just a little more brown, you can leave them in just a minute longer. Won't hurt. And I check mine with a toothpick just to make sure they're done. And we'll let these cool, and I'll cut them into bars. They do need to be stored in some kind of container. They'll dry out pretty fast. So make sure you put them in maybe a Ziploc baggie or something, and Make sure you keep them all nice and covered. And I hope you try this recipe. I hope you enjoyed our video. Thank you so much for watching all my videos. God bless you and happy Memorial Day.